Yo, what's good, homie? How's everybody doing out there? Me and my man Steve Assault in the bunker talking to you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Steve, what are we going to talk about today?
Oh, there's a lot of shit going on in this world and in our
Tons.
wacky lives. But the first thing is, I don't know if you people out there are aware of this yet, but you are under the rulership of a puppet government, and it is a puppet Donald Trump government. Because did you hear about this, Rob?
Okay, so where did this news come from? You were telling me a little bit about this. I saw a picture of like a paragraph, but I don't know what it's from.
Well, it's not really news.
Yes.
It's just more conspiracy bullshit that people think is real. And I feel like only ultimate wackos really will believe this one. But the thing is, they claim that the insurrection really did happen, but you just didn't see it. It was kept quiet. And that Biden and all these Democrats and even Republicans that were traitors were rounded up and they were court-martialed and they were found guilty of whatever crimes, like of winning an election, I guess.
I got you.
And they claim that it was decided that it would cause a civil war if it got out and if these people were like executed or imprisoned. So that the deal was made that they will serve as like puppet government and that Trump really is still the president and that everything that happens moving forward is still Trump.
See, for me, even that just seems very bizarre. Like, even for conspiracy stuff. So Trump's the president, but whatever Biden does is what Trump's doing. So you're not supposed to come. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
because it's in the morning. I'm even more confused than when we do these at night.
Yeah, this is Monday morning.
Yeah, like I don't even understand what the point of that would be.
I don't know. I mean, it's just that. I mean, it's some people they just have to hold on. They just can't. I just can't face the reality of what has happened. I guess so. They have to create some alternate reality. I guess.
Well, it's like the QAnon people. They believe that everyone was going to be executed on TV
Yes.
on the inauguration. I saw this thing. They interviewed a guy who was literally there the day before the inauguration. He's like, I still think it's not going to happen. And these people are going to get arrested. I mean, it's just like insanity.
Well, what they
What's
thought.
exciting? It's exciting though. I get why you'd want to think about something cool.
What they thought was going to happen, what the conspiracy said, there was going to be Trump was going to leave in the Air Force One.
Yeah.
He was going to leave, and then the power was to go out. Like the grid was going to go out. So these people were telling their friends and family members to get a CB radio, stock up on food, because we're not going to have electricity for a while.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
In that period, Trump would then declare martial law, and then all of these Democrats and pedophiles that they claim they're all going to be they're all going to be rounded up and executed. And that didn't happen, and some people they're kind of disenfranchised.
I know a guy
this.
who's a really normal dude who really believed. He didn't believe necessarily the Q stuff, like they were going to be executed, but he really believed like martial law was going to happen. He really believed they were going to turn all the power off. Like he was not kidding right before this happened. Like he was convinced. Not that they were pedophiles or Satanists, but he was convinced that Trump was going to do that, and it was happening.
I really love how these people are they're like at this point they're like I don't know what to think now. All this stuff that was super crazy, it didn't happen. I can't. It's just awesome that these people are so disenfranchised and they're confused because of a movement that's based on total nonsense.
The truth is, though, people are just dumb as fuck. It's just how society works. I mean, people like us get like you're just basically a slave if it's a caste system, you know what I mean? So you're born into a class and then you just stay there forever. It's just how it is. It's just like, modern day king at the top, people who work the land.
Yeah, like a serf.
Yeah, you're like a serf, you know what I'm saying? Like, but people like normal working class people get that. You're oppressed at all times. But for whatever reason, other people really think it's like this fantasy world and like there's this king who's going to save you and like bring you to the prom. It's very confusing.
Yeah, if you want to understand how our society really works, I mean, all you got to do is go back to your history class way back in school where they talked about like, things like feudal lords and serfs and all this stuff, and just look at how people lived back in these castles in these
no
systems.
different now. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, only you're just like, you're not living in a fucking shack made of fucking rocks and straw.
No, you're just living like in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But you do the same thing. You pay taxes.
Yeah.
For a bunch of laws and cops you don't agree with. Whatever.
And you don't really own your property. And you basically,
yeah, you don't own. You own you buy a house.
Yeah, but you don't really own it.
But you don't really own it, and if you're late on the taxes, you just get the bank takes it.
Yeah,
yeah, it's real weird. But like I said, I thought just normal people thought that, but then you realize normal people, I don't even know. And the thing with weird I don't even say right wing conspiracy people. It's old people and young people, so you can't say it's like just young people or whatever.
Well, when you get down to it, the thing is this. This is what I really believe, and I've said this a lot of times, is that people believe in conspiracies and come up with these alternate realities when they're unable to face the realities of their life, of society.
Which
And-
makes sense. I get it.
Yeah, it
'Cause
makes
life
makes
is
sense.
shitty.
Because life is shitty, and there's a lot of shitty things that you really don't have a whole lot of control of.
No, you have
That you-
none.
Yeah, like you can't escape the class that you're in. It's really difficult. I mean, like barring some fucking luck or you win the lottery or some shit like that, it's really difficult to do. So, a lot of-
Especially during a pandemic.
oh yeah. So a lot of people can't grapple with this, and they can't face the reality. So they come up with some wild bullshit. I mean, that's why people like. I mean, I really wish the thing about like lizard people and fucking alien shit would come back more than this.
You saw that they're gonna release all the alien stuff now. They're supposed to release it within like the next 2 months or something. I had it. I can't remember.
I wish. I mean, I hope, but I mean,
It's for real gonna happen. I don't know why. There was something in the past that they basically were gonna release all alien information that they have.
I
But
don't
what
know.
is it? I mean, can it be that exciting? I
well,
don't know.
here's all I want to know: is if the alien autopsy was fact or fiction.
Yeah, was it?
Was it?
Remember they had what was it? Stan Winston. He was like, "Dude, I could never do this."
Yeah.
He's like, "I couldn't make this."
For those of you who might be young who don't know, alien autopsy was a real thing, and it was on fucking television.
It was
on
on Fox, I believe. Yeah,
and they put it on TV and said that it was real. Well, actually, they said fact or fiction. You decide.
and it was awesome.
It was like a big controversy about it, and people. It's just like Faces of Death. It's like people still argue to this day that Faces of Death is real, but Faces of Death 2 and on is real, but Faces of Death 1 was not real. It was all fake.
This goes back to if you watch Faces of Death 1, does it look real? Besides there's animals killed, if you don't know what Faces of Death is.
Yeah.
The other scenes are obviously like cut like a movie scenes. Like it's not really that tough to watch.
And you could also just on the DVD that are out that they put out, they have the guys at the effects guys. They show like the bloopers for when they tried to do the effects, but still to this day, you will find motherfuckers who will tell you that shit was real.
I think they
man.
just
Did you ever
never
see that? That's
saw
crazy.
it. They just never watched it.
Yeah, but
Wait,
Alien,
what was Alien Autopsy?
Alien
Go back to that.
Autopsy is just like that. I love things like that. I love a good fucking scam. I love a good fucking hoax.
Bigfoot press conference.
Yeah,
There
the
you go.
Bigfoot press conference was a real thing.
Here's the thing for guys like us or our friends, Trevor Moen, even Frisco Dave, who's not here. Bigfoot press conference, alien autopsies. To me, that's my conspiracy kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love those things.
That's fun, like
Yeah,
entertaining.
it's great.
This other shit, it's like you're gonna burn bridges with your family forever or get fired from your job. It doesn't seem really worth it because the shit is based in nonsense. But alien autopsy, let's be real. The shit didn't look real when we were kids.
It did not look real.
But for some reason, people act like that shit was real. It's like, yo, that does not look real at all.
If you believe alien autopsy was real, fuck you.
Maybe it's the
You're
same
a
people who believe
moron.
weird conspiracy stuff now.
No, so I don't think that there could possibly be anybody out there who really still believes the alien autopsy is real.
It just didn't look real then.
No, it didn't look real.
It looked so fake.
Looks shitty. Watch that shit. It's
It was
awesome.
cool.
It's still great to watch if you want to watch some weird ass fake shit, see some like fake alien guts. It's good stuff.
Here's what you always can figure out with conspiracy theories, especially modern ones. Anytime they say Satanists, you know that it's a joke.
Yeah.
In 2020, people were talking about Satanists that run the world. Like, what the fuck? Children sacrifice shit? No, sorry.
Here's the real problem that I have with all this is, when they talk about children's sacrifice, they talk about drinking their blood.
Yeah, like, what?
That's bullshit. You got to eat their hearts to gain
that
their
would make
fucking.
sense.
You get the magical power if you eat their hearts. These people are amateurs. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
The real Satanists really know you have to eat the fucking children and babies' hearts to gain the power. Not the blood.
There's not even real Satanists. Satanists are just people that just don't believe in God, really. They just do whatever they want. They're just atheists. So I'm like, what Satanists are these? From the 80s or something? Like they brought them back? It's very confusing stuff for me personally.
Yeah, whenever I think of Satanists from the 80s, I just think of like people like in a robe. You're wearing like robes.
Yeah,
And you have like
yeah.
you have a dagger that's like curvy.
Yeah.
It has like symbols on it. That's very cool.
You have a mustache too.
That stuff is
Mullet,
sweet,
stuff like
man.
that.
And you're chanting some bizarre
Yeah.
thing, and
It's like a movie.
you have like some golden chalice that has like blood in it that you're doing.
But
some
people
shit with.
believe that now? I'm like, dude, I don't get it.
I don't either.
And why are they pedophiles?
I don't know.
Why don't they just want like normal age people? I don't get
know.
the pedophile.
I don't either. I mean, to me,
People
the
love
pedophile-
conspiracy stuff with that. They love throwing in pedophiles. I'm like, what?
Because the
What?
pedophile is the most damning thing. If you say someone's a pedophile, there isn't much arguing about like anything else. You're like, that person's
Yeah.
a pedophile. I mean, it's one of those things that's a very polarizing thing in society.
Satanism too, because technically everyone
Satanism-
Satan's against anyone.
Well, I mean, here's
You
the
could
thing.
be-
I think that Satanism isn't quite what it used to be. But I
no,
think,
no one cares. It's not a real thing.
I think
but
they need the pedophile thing because that's the one thing that everybody agrees on.
I agree.
That is the one thing that every person. There is like no people out there who are like, here's the truth about pedophiles. I mean, there isn't any fucking positive spin on that exists.
no.
You're just a piece of shit who
Yeah, I
should be
agree.
fucking killed, and you have no place in society if you're a pedophile.
Yeah, I don't. It's just very weird. They just throw in anything bad into the mix.
Yeah.
Yeah, conspiracy stuff's so strange. I get like 9/11 conspiracy was cool because some of that stuff kind of added up where it seemed pretty sketchy. But this QAnon shit is just so goofy.
Yeah, it's people that are like really grasping at straws, really trying to find something because their
Yeah.
life is pretty bleak, man. I mean,
I just don't see any grounds for it that you would believe any of it.
no, I don't.
But I mean, what are you going to do? That's exciting. Now it's just Biden. It's just a grandpa in office. Nothing too exciting. I don't got to watch the news anymore. There's no
No.
entertainment value now.
No, what are these? Here's my real concern. What are all these news corporations going to do now that their ratings are going to plummet because
Oh,
Trump
yeah.
isn't there? Because they're going to have to create some other fucking wacky ass bullshit to make you watch so people fucking, so you can get that ad revenue.
You can see it already, though. Even like the ones that are more liberal news stations, they'll say stuff about Biden like, can he really do it? Can he? It's like, what is he really going to do? He's going to do everything Trump. He's just going to do the opposite. That's it for the next 4 years. And the other ones are like, oh, they'll say like, they said, I saw this thing on the news the other day. It was like Fox News. It was like, Biden's family breaks mask protocol to take a picture in front of the Abraham Lincoln statue.
Ooh.
I'm like, that's a headline? A guy and his family members take a picture with no mask? Like, that's a fucking headline. Like, see,
Well,
you need a Trump guy back because
that's
Trump would have
why-
called someone a
That's why these people.
pussy or something or fucking slapped a woman.
That's,
Like-
that's why these people needed to be rounded up and beheaded on the Capitol
Yeah.
steps because this is the shit that's fucking happening. They're taking pictures without a fucking mask.
Let's be real, though. Trump is, if you look at a Biden, he's richer than a Trump. Trump's really not a billionaire. Biden and his family are probably way richer. So if you want to talk about who really would be executed, it would probably be Trump because he's way poorer.
Yeah, I agree.
Super rich people are the ones, and Biden's way more in with tech companies who literally own the world. So, I mean, at this point, he's in the new money. He has way more connections with, like, Russia and China than Trump. So, really, it would be Trump and his family being executed if you want to see who is the super rich and powerful person. That would make more sense.
That would be the reality. But
Yeah,
listen,
because they're way richer.
we're living in a world of alternate reality.
What world would you want to live in, Steve, if you could live in a different... Since in this 2020, you just kind of make up your own world? Because the real world doesn't exist anymore, which is a weird thing if you think about it. The world you grew up with, like, I'm 30, we're both 39.
Yeah.
The world we grew up with for 37, 38 years literally doesn't exist
No.
and really might not come back.
No, a lot of things are not coming back.
So to all you conspiracy people out there, I don't blame you because really the world that you grew up with doesn't... You could be 60 years old, live the same life for 60 years, and it doesn't exist anymore. So it's like, what would my alternative universe be? I like alien stuff.
Yeah.
I'd like it to be where the aliens really did create all like the pyramids and shit.
That'd be
That would
pretty
be
cool.
pretty sweet.
It'd be cool. I don't know. I mean, I don't really think about things like that. I don't think about what fantasy world I would like to live in.
Now, I'm just usually at work, so I don't have time for that. But
I don't have time for such thoughts. I'm usually pretty busy.
yes. But if you had the time, what would it be?
I don't know. Maybe the world like, did you ever see that show Alien Nation, where these people
Yeah,
have the
there you
fucking
go.
purple shit on their heads and we're coexisting with aliens like that?
Coexistence with aliens. I like that.
That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool reality to live in.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That could be it.
I'd like that.
Well, let's talk about something else. No more conspiracy stuff.
I got one to
Steve's
talk
got
about.
one right now.
Now, we both,
Oh, I fucking...
most of you who listen to this know this, that we were in wacky hardcore and punk bands for decades. And we played in these silly bands that got us absolutely nowhere in life. But within that world, which is a very small niche world, which most people, when you're within that world, you think like this is the biggest thing in the world and it's very important. But in reality, it is extremely minuscule. Now, there are certain terms that people use in this world all the time. And there are terms that within that world, they kind of make sense, but they don't make sense, but people say them all the time. I'm going to talk about a few of these.
Go for it.
Here's one for you. When people say blowing up, this band is blowing up. Now, what does that usually mean when somebody says that?
I mean, in hardcore world, not much.
So that means like they're like, man, check this band out. They're on this fest. So you'll be playing some fest with 1,000 people at it, with 50 other bands, and getting paid $400 to do so. And people are like, man, that band's blowing up. Or like you're the opener on a fucking tour with like 4 other bands, and the headliner band are even dudes that just have to work jobs when they're not touring. I mean, so people's perception of like what blowing up is in that world, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Well, I mean, it's blowing up. You're just in a very, very, very small niche scene.
Yeah.
Where there's no money or anything. So I guess it's blowing up.
The other one is the term sellout, where people are like, yeah, man, this band, especially when in regards to being straight edge, when people say like, yeah, it's sold out. This person's sold out. But here's the thing. Was there a transfer of money involved? Were they paid to do this? I mean, to me, doing something like that is for financial gain. So I don't understand the term sellout being used. You people have to get on this. You got to figure this shit out because these terms are not really relevant and they don't make a lot of sense.
For straight edge, I mean, that's just like little kid stuff.
If
you want to be sober, like I don't drink or anything just because don't really want to, but being straight edge and like living it forever, if that's what you want to do, good for. But that's like a child thing. There's old guys who I'm sure would listen to like, nah, man, straight edge for life. I'm like, I don't really care.
I'll be honest.
What you drink or what you eat, it's your life. So for you, if you want to do that and say that for you, but for me, I'm like, I'm a grown man. You don't got to tell me. I don't listen to Dogma or any of that kind of shit. So
if somebody were to offer me a large sum of money, I would for certain stop being straight edge. If you were like, here's like $100,000, I'd be like, okay, sure. And then you could say that I sold out. But if
you could kind of say you sold out because you got money for it.
Exactly. So that would
at
be
least there was
out.
money.
Yes, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
My point is, if you paid me the money, I would for sure do it, and then the term would be applicable. But if there's just some guy who just decides I'm just going to drink and stop being straight edge or do cocaine, I mean, he was not paid to do so, so he did not sell out. So that term is fucking bullshit. Stop using it.
For people who are straight edge too, though, I feel like you miss out on certain things. You know, like people will say, like if you smoke weed, it helps you with music. Or, you know, Trevor Melman, he does hallucinogenics. It says he writes music way better and stuff like that. I don't know. I never did it.
Or if
it's
you
just
take
I'm
Viagra.
too old. Yeah, I'm too old for that now. I don't want to. But, like, yeah, I mean, maybe I missed out on stuff. I mean, it's believable. But I don't know. I'd have to go back in time. Maybe if I go back in time. Time machine. Steve builds a time machine. I'll go do.
Yes.
I'll smoke crack when I'm 8 years old. So,
yeah,
if it happens. What other terms do we have here, Steve?
Those are all the ones that I had for right now, but I'll think of other ones for another time.
But here's the thing. No offense to Steve. He loves hardcore. I actually don't like hardcore. The thing that's always this weird thing with me is people think I'm a hardcore guy. I'm like, I listen to the Cro-Mags. When did that come out? 1986? I mean, like, I don't know shit. These other dudes got to tell me about bands. I have no fucking idea. I'm listening to Napalm Death in my car.
He's wearing a Mortician shirt.
Yeah, I actually bought House by the Cemetery, this EP. I bought it when I was like 12 years old. Not a joke. From Relapse Records mail order catalog. But I like hardcore music. It's just if you said, am I a hardcore guy? I'd be like, dude. I was in a crew for so long. I mean, I'm a crew guy, you know, my friends and shit, but that's why I went to shows. It wasn't till, seeing some fucking heavyweight dudes playing music that sounds like a fucking rhinoceros threw a guitar down the steps, you know what I mean? It's just not for me. Especially modern hardcore. As Society is good. Cold Concrete, they're with Pytex help, they're really good. No offense. No, they're good. And my friends' bands, yes. But I don't even know what's a good hardcore band that's out now? Anybody?
Oh, boy.
Power Trip, there was a thrash band.
But the guy's dead.
Yeah, he died. So,
Guy died.
But it was literally a thrash band. I didn't even think that was a hardcore band. Good band. What else is good? Modern stuff, I don't know. Is there any good modern stuff, Steve? For you hardcore guys out there.
I don't know.
Because like I said, I like hardcore music. I just think if you're a hardcore... Here's the thing. Let me explain this, not cut Steve off. To me, hardcore music is good. Punk music is good. But I'm not like in a scene. When you're young, you're in a scene. You go to shows. You know people. You know bands. I don't know that anymore.
No,
I know a bunch of old-ass people. That's what I'm saying. And to me, people who are like, oh, yeah, I'm hardcore. It's like you don't go to shows. You're not in a scene. So it's just kind of like, are you really?
Well, it becomes pretty difficult when you become 40 years old.
It's just music for kids.
Yes, music. Most of the music is very youth and young oriented. So when you become older, it becomes much more difficult for me to relate to whatever is happening.
Look at the guy from H2O, the Toby dude from H2O. I see people post this stuff. There's no offense to that guy, but I mean, he just sells shirts for a living. Like, no one figured this the fuck out yet. He just says PMA, he does these things, and then it's just a way to sell T-shirts for his job. I'm sure he believes in PMA, but it's like, say he didn't sell shirts, I'd believe it a little bit more. But it's like he's just like a T-shirt. He's just a merch guy because he's 50 years old. What? Nobody wants to see H2O all the time. His band and his merch are his job. That's it. So to me, it's like, is he really living like, oh yeah, like he's at shows moshing around with his buddies? No, he's in a tour bus. He gets out, he does a podcast with some guy who's more famous than him, and then he sells a bunch of shirts. You know what I mean? It's just his job. So
this is our job, doing this podcast.
Yeah,
this is our job now.
We got signed to YouTube.com for $7 million.
We quit our jobs to do this shitty podcast that like 200 people listen to.
Hey, you know what? I hope 200 people listen to this one. We'll be back to over 1,000, I would say, within 6 months, which isn't great, but I can live with that. The old one would get downloaded over 1,000. It took us like 6 months to get it there. So thank you to everyone who listens to this. This episode isn't anything wild, but I think it's good because we needed these episodes too where we're not fucking going too crazy. Because
Monday morning, we can't go that crazy.
I can't do those all the time. I can do these ones and go crazy, but not all the time. But hardcore, yes. I don't know what's going on in hardcore. What other bands? Any bands?
I don't mean this pandemic. There isn't a whole lot going on.
I really don't know. I liked.
There isn't much happening.
I'm not even kidding. I have no clue. What's a new band that's people like? I don't.
You can see our age, and we're very clueless on this subject. So
this guy would. I have no fucking clue. He buys records and shit.
I do.
I'm the poser one. If you want to
do.
talk about this guy is still in it. That's not any offense to anyone. It's just I have no fucking idea.
I buy stuff, but there isn't a whole lot that I think is really.
But I mean, you listen to you don't listen to just like modern hardcore. You listen to different stuff too.
Yeah,
that's how I am. I listen to all different kinds of music. I still like hardcore. I'm just not in the hardcore scene. There you go. But yeah, I can't think of. Drawing a blank here. Sorry, folks. Something else out got to be good.
Some young people will tell us about what is hip and what is cool and exciting in hardcore world.
Well, we were talking about this earlier. Here's what young people post about. Cold as Life.
Oh, yeah.
I see 80 fucking Cold as Life posts. It's like, the band's been around since the fucking 80s. Where have you been? Discovering Cold as Life in 2020? Like, come on, people.
Band is good. One of my all-time favorite bands. But, yeah, I mean, good for those guys, I guess. I mean, the singer was in prison. He just got out of prison, and they're kind of a unheralded band. They're like a crowd deterrent. They were a band. Cold as Life was not this band that was touring heavy and doing all this stuff. They were an underground band. I mean, think about the times that we saw them outside of Detroit. We saw them in Detroit.
I saw Cold as Life
lineup
a bunch of times, and here's the thing: the shows were terrible. Not Cold as Life. Cold as Life was really good.
Yeah.
The shows that when I saw them, there's like two dudes moshing around.
Yeah. When we saw them in Detroit, though, it was really good.
Yeah,
but it's like seeing Crowd Deterrent in Youngstown or Cleveland. You know, the show's going to be good. If we tried to go play some shows somewhere else, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, the shows are not going to be very good for us. But yeah, in their day, Cold as Life was not. They're a really underground band. They're a really underground band. In their area, they were a boss band that did really well. Outside of their area, not as good.
You're not going to ever be that
that
famous if you're like Weird Maniacs too. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about Cold as Life is they were the real deal.
Yeah.
They were the real thing. And most people, the real thing was too much for them to handle, and most people, they couldn't really handle that.
No, the same dudes who listen to them now, and this isn't a diss on them, they wouldn't have went to those shows back then because the bands were wild. They would have went to whatever was popular at the time because that's the type of hardcore guys they are.
I mean, I'll be honest. Like, when we saw them in Detroit, it was a really hard show. It was pretty frightening as far as gigantic dudes go and frightening sketch dudes go. And we still moshed it. I know somebody actually that has a video from that show. It was a record release show for Declination of Independence. And I know somebody that had a video from that. And they're like, I'm watching this video, and I see these two like kind of small guys are just like moshing everywhere. And I was like, oh, they're like, it's Steve and Rob. But I remember that show. There was just like giant biker guys that were moshing. I remember the first song, the giant biker guy ran up. This looked like my dad. He punched me right in the face. And
that was the time period though too. Was the 99 or 2000?
There was a lot of
like that.
A lot of fights. Remember, there was a lot of fights. Remember that dude that we knew from there? He was like the Wigger guy. He's like, oh man, someone's gonna get shot. And
It's just that time in hardcore.
yeah.
It's like Crowd Turn or whatever band. Like our shows used to be real wild. They're not really that wild anymore.
Yeah, a lot of young people. If Cold as Life does play shows and you go to them, just know this: it ain't the same as what it was back in the day.
I mean,
seeing them,
They came out in the 80s.
yeah,
Like even I'm like 6, 7 years old when their first fucking shit came out. It's like 30 some years ago. You know what I mean? Like the dudes
Yeah.
are just 60 years old. It's like your grandpa playing shit. Nothing wrong with that. It's just
Yeah.
the thing with hardcore is always the same thing. It's people. They're just like your parents love fucking Leonard Skinner or some shit, and they go to a bar to see a cover band. There's no difference. Hardcore people just can't. They're like, I'm different than these people. It's like, no, you're the same. You just like different kinds of music.
yeah. So like no diss to those guys though, the Cold as Life guys. I mean, hopefully they could.
What are you supposed? I mean,
They
you
play
wrote the damn songs.
Yeah.
The problem with hard. This goes back to the sell thing. People are like, oh, look at these guys trying to make a buck. It's like, what are they supposed to do? You write music that people like. They're like, oh, fuck it, I don't want any money. It's like,
Yeah, I don't really think those guys made a whole lot of money like the first go around. So to me, if anybody deserves to get some money, it's those dudes.
but even how much are they really gonna get?
yeah, I agree. I mean, the dude for real lived the life. He went to prison. I mean, if anybody
Dude's
deserves,
died.
yeah, if anybody really deserves to make some money off of a band, I for real believe that it's Cold as Life. And you know, I hope those guys could do some stuff, have some fun, and they could make a little bit of money from it.
Dude, in Youngstown right now, you could be in a cover band that gets paid $1,000 to play on the weekend to a bar that's a quarter full. Every weekend, you can make $1,000. It's probably you and like 4 other dudes, so you're gonna make $200, whatever, and go home. Cold as Life probably made fucking $1,000 like 5 times in their career. I mean, it's a small hardcore band.
Yeah,
You know, it's like it's just music. So I think Cold as Life is cool, but they never. That's another thing we were saying. They never were the not hard band, but they weren't like a mosh band because that was before like everything was mosh stuff.
yeah.
So even young kids, I'm confused why they love them so much because they're usually mosh dudes that like them, and I'm like, Cold as Life really wasn't a total mosh band. It wasn't like feeding you breakdowns kind of music. Like it, you know,
Nah.
it's more normal now.
I mean, it was just the mix. It was the mix of New York hardcore, like a skinhead band, and like 90s death metal.
But even the moves that you would use for a Cold as Life band to me aren't like straight. You know, it's different because it's like what they wrote for. Detroit wasn't like straight kickboxer dudes.
No.
Not even close. It was like push pit, swing your arms shit kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm pumped on Cold as Life. To see them, I mean, I saw them. I don't know. Why would I care to go? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
If they played around here, if they played at like AJ's place or something like that, I would go.
This guy still moshes.
I
So
do.
for me, I'm like, I'd just be at work. Yeah, I don't mosh. I don't do any of that stuff.
I would not be traveling or going to a fest to see it though. But
I mean, at a fest. I don't know how people could go to a fest. Ugh, unless you could sit down or something. That'd be a fest I go to. If I could, like, sit on some grass and eat a sandwich, yes. But, like, people moshing you and shit, oh, my God. That would be tough.
yeah, it'd be
For
rough.
the young people. Speaking of which, actually, here's a good one. The prediction of when will this shit really end? Because now everyone I know had said fall for shows, which I was actually hoping because we always play in the fall. It's actually something I look forward to, the Halloween show we do every year. And now people I know are acting like no fall, you know, like business people I know and stuff like that. Steve, what do you think? Any idea?
I have no idea. I'll be honest. I mean,
I'm praying for soon. I'm hoping for soon, like even
yeah.
summer.
I mean, I wish
Yes.
things like that would happen, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, at this point, I don't know. I mean, you could still go to the fucking mall. You could still
Yeah.
go do all this other shit. That there's no limit to how many people could go to these places. So,
And then everything else is literally closing.
yeah, I'll be honest. I think if you could have, I'll be honest. I think you could have shows right now if people just all wear masks. I mean,
That's the thing. But would they let them?
no, I
Like,
don't think so.
Where I work in Kent, literally the downtown is like closing down. Like my business does really good, thankfully. Most of the downtown I think is going to be gone. Like all this stuff is getting for sale, which will work out in the end. You know what I mean, for the businesses to do good, but like tons of shit is leaving. And it's like it's leaving now. I mean, I can't even imagine what will be left in 6 months to 8 months, you know what I mean?
Amazon will be left.
Yeah, it's only like the super rich.
Yeah, only the businesses that have the most money. So, like, let's say if
Yeah.
your parents or your grandparents started this business 50 years ago, and over the years they've accumulated millions and millions of dollars, your business will survive. If you're some new young startup business, fucking forget it, man. You're fucked.
Straight up.
You're totally screwed. And
You're screwed.
Oh yeah, you're really.
It's literally
fucked.
it's survival of the richest.
Yeah,
That's
I saw an article on CNN just yesterday, and the article's headline was, "The mega rich have already recovered from
Yeah,
the shutdown.
pandemic, yeah.
The poor may never recover." It's like, really, man,
Oh,
what
there's no
fucking
way.
award-winning journalist figured this out? I mean, who hasn't figured this out already? Who hasn't seen this? I mean, Walmart's, Amazon's, the biggest companies have seen huge gains throughout all of this fucking shit.
Well, they said
man.
through the pandemic they've created, I don't know, 100 more billionaires in the United States.
Yeah, I mean, it's no mystery. It's people who are like, I could capitalize off of this. I'm going to. Everyone else is going to suffer. Fuck you. Too bad.
What's
And-
how the systems work? It's
Yeah.
just how it's set up. It's set up for rich people to just make as much as they can,
Yeah.
and poor people are going to have to suffer.
Yeah, it's just the rich guy takes as much as he can at all times, and the rich guy already has the advantage. And here's the other fantasy and the other fallacy is this: most of these people that are the wealthy people, they're not the guy that like worked from nothing and they had the money. They got the
No.
money from someone else some other way. They really didn't earn it a lot of times. Like a lot of these companies, there's
Well-
like somebody that started a company and then they died and their kid got it. Or these people. Most of this is not just like this self-made man who became like this multi-billionaire.
Most people are self-made. It takes a long time.
yeah.
So if like you're doing well, like I think we're not doing bad in our lives now. We're almost 40 years old. I've
Yeah.
worked full time since I've worked over at least 40 to 50 hours since I was 18. It's fucking 22 years later. So it makes sense. If you're super rich and you're 25, I mean, unless you're some kind of genius, I mean, you probably had some help there. You know what I mean?
For me, the way that I live, I don't live a very extravagant life. So I have some money, and it's like I'm wealthy.
Yeah, you're success. The thing is successful, but it's like we're 40 years old.
But in the eyes of someone who is truly wealthy, they're like, oh, that guy doesn't have fucking shit. But here's the thing. You go back 6 years ago, I mean, I had nothing. I had no savings, no
Yeah.
money. I was living hand to mouth. I was living in a fucking basement, one room with 2 beds, sleeping with my son. And now here I am today. I own a house. I have money in the bank. I'm doing all right for myself. So to me, I feel like with the life that I live and the life I was living before, to me, I'm like wealthy
Yeah,
for the
But
lifestyle
like I said,
that I live.
It takes time. If you're not born into money, it's going to take you time. That doesn't mean you're not going to be successful, but it's going to take a while. And yeah, these people they get rich. I mean, these people, like I said, they're becoming billionaires literally within months. It's like last year they were worth $100 million. Now they're worth $1 billion. A year later, it's like very bizarre times. And I don't know when shit's going to end. I honestly, people keep saying venues and all this shit are going to stick around. If you're smart, you should get the fuck out of there because what is really going to be left anyways when it comes back? You think your bars are going to be packed? You
For
think
the first
venues are going to be
month?
packed? Sometimes, but here's the thing. Let's be real. You'll talk to a lot of people right now that are like, I'm never going back to that shit.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to adjust to the changes and the new ways of life and get used to these things.
A lot of
the
people
way
don't
that
really
life
want to
is.
leave their house.
No.
Mind you, if you're a germ type of person, imagine the first time you go to a packed bar and no one has a mask and people are coughing, like just normal stuff, coughing, touching each other, grabbing the bar, grabbing your drink. Even me, who's not like that, I'm going to be like, oh, this is kind of fucking wacky. This is nasty, People sneezing on each other. Like, ugh. I've
People-
changed. It's been a year,
A lot of changes.
So who knows? Maybe, hopefully, I know some guys, they think they're going to go back to Europe in this year. I'm like, I don't think it's happening, man. They're having riots in the Netherlands, I just saw, because they're locking people down. They're like burning buildings and shit down. Russia has a big riot going
Oh,
on.
Russia's real wild. The shit that's happening there.
Everything's going wild. Brexit's a piece of shit. It's not
You
working
know.
in the UK.
There was this band, they had a song. It's called Riot City. You should listen to that song because it's a soundtrack to the world. Remember, it's
Total
like,
chaos.
yeah, man. Riot City, USA. Riot City, UK. Riot City, Russia.
Africa.
Yeah, they say Africa, which is a continent. It's not a
None of
city.
it makes any sense.
Some of that they say Riot City, but then they name like countries and continents.
Yeah, I never understood that.
but it's a jam, man. It's
When
a
you say
favorite
like
jam.
Riot City, LA, Riot City,
UK,
England or something? No, London. There you go. There's a city,
yeah,
not a country.
it's
I
a
don't
geography lesson for you right there. Countries,
Where are we at?
cities, continents. 34 minutes is what we're
34
at.
minutes. So let's finish this up. Steve had some vintage stuff to talk about. We'll do another one this week,
Well,
and I'll come up with some stuff. I didn't have a ton to talk about, but we needed to do one for all you people who need to listen to this at work.
Well, I do a thing called Vintage Assault where I sell vintage clothes, and I've done it for a long time. And Rob always talks about, because I go to thrift stores and I find stuff, which is not the only thing that I do, but I'm not going to give away all my secrets, which is what too many people do. But Rob always talks about how he can't find anything at the thrift store anymore because there's
Oh,
too
they're
many.
just
There's
there's
too many.
picker dudes at all times.
Yeah, there's just a picker at every thrift store that you go to at all times.
yeah.
So just for the average person that like isn't a picker or reseller, it's just slim pickings. Literally, you're not finding too much at these places anymore.
No way.
But so what do you think about that, Rob?
I mean, it was fun. I used to, since I was young, I'd go to thrift stores and buy like cool shirts or whatever. I never resell anything, so it was just for me. But oh yeah, those days are long over.
Yeah, they're done, man.
Especially with pandemic stuff. I mean, the shit is just gone. As soon as it comes out, it's gone.
Yeah, you're like at most of the thrift stores, if it's not on the rack that's coming right out, it's just gone. There's somebody waiting for it. So,
And unless you're super rich or you're just the person who loves like expensive stuff, vintage stuff to me was cheap stuff, and now it's become rich people stuff. So like I just buy it like this. They just reprint shirts because if you had like an original Mortician shirt, it'd be like $500. Like why would I pay $500 for a fucking death metal shirt? Then they reprint them and they're like $18. So vintage stuff's cool, but like I said, it's become a rich person thing, which is fine. But I'm not fucking gonna pay $150 for a shirt.
no, I mean I could talk about this all day. I could
Yeah.
do a whole series of podcasts about this. But every once in a while on the show, we might bring it up and talk about it. Maybe I'll show some stuff every once in a while, some interesting things. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of interesting stuff that goes on in that world. I mean, you just see a lot of people that are just like real flim flam guys. A lot of just like con artists. A lot of people that are just living in a fantasy. Just a lot of people that they'll have 20,000 followers, but then you go check their shop and they have 1,000 sales. I mean, it's just like a lot of fantasy people. A lot of people buy shirts, for $400 and sell it for $450 and have this illusion that they found it for $5 and they've just made $500,000 off of this shirt they found at a thrift store, but they don't.
Well, really, what it is, it's just business. And business, a lot
It
of
is.
it's just bullshit.
Oh God,
It's just lies. And I mean, it's most business is like they act like they're giving you a service, but really they're fucking you in your ass.
pretty much.
So I think that's probably the same with vintage stuff.
Yeah, there's like a lot.
Not
of,
everyone, of course, but
a lot of funny stuff. A lot of funny people that you see. They come and go, and they people they act like there's like a big timer, but I don't think that I'm a big timer. I think that I just do what I like, and I think that I do okay at it, and I'm happy doing it, so I keep doing it.
yeah, I mean, why not? If you're good at it and you like it, for sure.
Yeah.
Is it a lot tougher nowadays because there's more people?
I mean, if you're going to a thrift store, yeah. If thrift stores, it's tough. It's tough to find shit at a thrift store if you're going to a thrift store. But there's a lot of other ways that I find things, which I will not talk about. That's the problem that a lot of people do is they're always on there posting what they're doing, where they are, and how they're doing it. And all you're doing is just you're creating your own competition. You're creating,
Of course.
if it's not a guy that's going to the actual store or places that you are going to, you're creating other people who are going to go to those places and other places, and they just flood the market with more stuff. So the more stuff that's in the market, the lower the prices for you and for everybody else. So
What's happened with vintage stuff? Because of Instagram and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
I'm not talking about Steve because he's been doing it forever. But you just made it like people will brag about what they sell stuff for.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So
The
then, of
people's-
course, people are gonna be like, "Well, this guy found a shirt for $5 and sold it for $200. I'm gonna go look."
a lot of people, their ego gets to them, and what they don't realize is they're just cutting their own throat while they're doing it to feed their ego. But I try not to do those things. I try to be mindful of those things. But what are you gonna do, man? It's just fucking free country. People could do whatever the fuck they want. So,
Of course.
especially even if it's detrimental to them in the long run. But hey, man, they got a lot of likes on a picture, I guess. So
But the thing is, they're not. These people, most of them are young. They're not going to figure that out till it's like
No.
tattoo shops. I've owned a tattoo shop forever. There's plenty of shops that sprout up. They do whatever they want. They talk trash and act wacky, and then they're gone because they learn, but
Yeah.
they learn a lesson, and it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing this shit for how long, man? I've been doing this since the dawn of eBay. I've been
20-some years.
Yeah, 20 years almost. I've been going out and selling stuff, and what people want now has changed drastically versus what people wanted 15, 17 years ago. But there's some things that people still like then that people still like now. So it's interesting, and things are always changing, and I'm always trying to adapt to it and figure out what's next and what's going on, but still staying true to the shit that that I always like. Because to me, like, I don't know, trends, I feel like they come and go. Hype and trends, that's all they are. hype and trend. Those are not things that are steady and that last. But there's a lot of things that are timeless to me, like this fucking shirt. I mean, this shirt is fucking. I love Florida Panthers shit. I don't like the team, the Florida Panthers, but I have Florida Panthers shirts, hats, and shit like that I wear all the time because I love them, man. I just like that. It's one of my favorite teams from like back in the day. But
oh, and last, we'll talk real quick about this Carhartt stuff, which is still funny to me because like vintage dudes, I don't know why they think that shit is cool. Like you can just buy a new Carhartt anywhere, but they'll wear an old one and they pay more money.
They pay more money for like a faded and worn one. But here, the best ever is this, man. Is that like right now you're wearing that and you think that like that's street and hip hop but there's just a straight farmer guy who's wearing the same thing.
Not Steve. Only vintage people think that.
Yeah.
It's like Steve's son he wears a Carhartt and camo pants. And Steve's like, yeah, look at his outfit. He looks cool. And I was like, he does. I go, but he looks like every person who comes to the tattoo shop. Like every guy who comes in who works outside, they wear exactly that out every day. Yeah. So I'll see 10 guys a day. They'll come in camo pants, except they'll have boots and a hard hat.
Yeah, it's
and
like a guy's a construction worker, some old farmer who's fucking driving a tractor.
Dude, if you live in Northeast Ohio, that's all anyone wears. Just normal car because it's cheap and it's cold out. So that's why I always thought it was funny that vintage dudes were like, yeah, check out. I'm like, what? It's just, here's what it is. I'll be totally real. It's people who don't work work outside.
No.
Because even me, I'll wear Carhartt stuff because it's just cheap. And you're like, well, if it gets fucked up, who cares? And it's cold as fuck out here.
Yeah, to me, that's an interesting one. The Carhartt one.
That's a class thing, though. They want to dress like, oh, I work, but I don't really work outside.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. There's a lot of interesting ones, a lot of things that people wear. They have no idea what the fuck it even is.
No.
Like the bands that they wear, like the products that they wear. It's like a guy who's 18 years old wearing a shirt for like some fucking snack food that existed before he was born. I mean, they don't know what the fuck it is. They're just doing what they're told, what someone else tells them to do. But hey, man, that's cool.
I don't care either. I'm just saying I always thought that one was kind of funny because Carhartt, you go to like fucking Gabriel Brothers. They'll have like racks of the shit,
racks of them
for like $50, and then people buy an old one for like $200. I'm like, that's so weird.
Yeah, it's interesting, but in the long run, to me, it's just like, hey, if you want to spend it, if you want to buy it, it makes you happy. I guess do it.
Oh yeah, who gives a
just
fuck?
Do
if
it.
That's what you want to do.
Whatever you want.
I will
wear
say
whatever
this.
you want.
Carhartt sometimes takes a while to break in if you don't wear it all the time. So it is nice to get, if you find a cheap old vest, just buy it because it's already broken in. Because sometimes the shit fits a little tight. Other than that, I don't know. Is that all we got for today?
It is. We got to wrap this up because I got to go to my job.
Yeah, shit, I do too. Well, thank you guys. Go ahead. Anything
if you didn't
last
catch
words?
it, we lied about quitting our jobs. We
No,
really still have jobs.
I got to go there right now. So thank you. We'll see you this week.